Welcome to another episode of My Two Cent. My name is Ken Amundsen, and I'll be giving you my two cent. For those of you that don't know, or if you haven't been watching, because I know that you're probably getting random live videos, and you're gonna be getting a lot of them this month. I apologize. I've been all year since the beginning of the year. I've been every 3 days. I've been running 4 miles, and at the like around May or June, I switched from every 3 days, 4 miles, every 3 days, 3 miles. And To I've been doing this consistently for most of the year. I probably only missed like maybe 20 runs out of the entire span. And my goal is to run a 40 to 100K at the end of the year on New Year's Eve, going into New Year's Day. So I'm planning on starting next year with a 40K run, hopefully 100K, but I might not have the strength and the endurance for it. But that's the plan. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to my 2 cents is dedicated to self-improvement through self-education, and I'm supposed to be documenting and journaling everything that I'm doing, but I haven't been because I'm too busy working. I'm constantly working 2 jobs, adversity and dealing with my wife, and I have to leave my car because I'm homeless right now. So I've got a lot of stuff going on my plate, but I consistently have been, for the most part, trying to stay focused on this. So I feel like what I should do now is I should just kind of like just live stream the last part of the documentation, so that way when next year comes around and I start actually doing the science part of my 2 cents, it'll be a little bit easier because I will already have this to fall back on. So my goal isn't to do this so that I can like talk about it or get like likes or views or grow my channel. Literally, the most important part of science is repeatability. If you do an experiment, somebody else has to be able to repeat it, and you have to be able to document what you're saying, right? So when I first thought about running for the whole year, imagine if there was no videos. Yeah, I just ran every 3 days for the whole year. Who would care? Who would take it serious? Now I can be like, go watch the videos of me live streaming myself running. They're horrible quality. They suck. Half the time I'm probably crying anyway. But the whole point was you can see the actual time that I spent running on top of working 2 jobs, taking care of bills, going to school full time, trying to provide for my wife, all that stuff. The whole point is just to try to get to a place where you can apply science to your everyday life to maximize your ability to be successful and overcoming the adversities that you have in your daily life. That's the reason why I teach this not for children, because topics are not interesting. They're not like, this isn't an entertaining channel or this channel is not for like pure entertainment or pure like, I'm not tap dancing or breaking or popping and locking or singing jazz. Like, I'm not trying to be a comedian. I'm not even necessarily trying to be a serious person, but I'm trying to communicate something at an intellectual level. I want to have an intellectual discourse in a civilized discourse, so that we can come to a mutual understanding of how we can work together more effectively and be honest, decent human beings. And that's the core foundation of my 2 cents. There's other stuff in it, obviously. Like, I'm a human being. I have my likes and my dislikes, and from time to time, you see me ranting and raving or be frustrated with the reality of the world. Hi. But that's just the way that things are, and that's how they're gonna continue to be. Hopefully, we can work on a system. Yes, I actually do believe in the afterlife. I believe that I believe in reincarnation. I believe that me and my biological father had this conversation because I was on the fence about reincarnation. And I told him that the problem I had with reincarnation was I didn't see myself agreeing to reincarnate. And his response to me was, everything that you've experienced in life, why do you assume that you will be in control of your own reincarnation, and it wouldn't just be some natural thing that just happens to us? We just happen or we don't. I personally believe in God, but I don't believe in organized religion. I don't think that religion, the way that it is taught, is accurate enough for me personally. What do you reincarnate? What do you reincarnate? I don't know. The best evidence for the afterlife is life, right? The fact that we are alive is the best evidence for an afterlife. Well, that's one of the, it's an infinity, right? So like the why, if you look at nature, like science, right? If you look at nature, everything in nature is trying to reproduce the next generation and protect the next generation, so the next generation can reproduce the next generation and protect the next generation. That seems to be a fundamental principle of life. But if you look at the non-living aspects of life, the abiotic substrates of things, they seem to be pretty abiding, right? They think the half-life of protons are like trillions and trillions of years. So hundreds of trillions of years. So it's really a property of life. Reincarnation would be more of a property of life than anything else. And life, at its basic and most fundamental, is just the organization of very simple, we are an emergent property of very simple influences, if that makes sense. If you believe in a creator, if you believe that you were created for something, then you have to answer that question. But if you accept that you exist in the state that you exist in, you can look at yourself and recognize you as the answers to any questions you have. Like, you exist, right? So you are the answer to why you exist. You don't have to necessarily have a better you don't have to necessarily form the question of why do I exist, but accept that you do exist. It makes you feel uncomfortable to not have an answer to that, but the fact that we exist is because we were always wondering about like the afterlife, but we're alive. If we are alive and we exist, that's the best evidence for the afterlife, because you don't have any kids, but one day you might. Your kids don't exist, but in the next 10 or 15 years, if you have kids, they're gonna be running around here like they've always been here, but they're not here, right? Then that's what happened. That was you and your parents were too young to have kids. So that, like, that, I don't know if I'm answering your questions and it's kind of circular, but that's kind of the take on reincarnation. I think that reincarnation I think life, there's an ascendant and a descendant of reality, and I think that the state that we're in, we transcend that state. So we were in a lower state, and then we transcend to a higher state, and then a higher state, and then a higher state, and then a higher state. And we just continue that. And it might be a cycle. It might not actually be up and down. Imagine if it was just a circle, and you're at 0 degrees, and you go to 1, and you go all the way around to 360, and then you're right back at 0 again, and you just keep doing that for forever, because, you know, we could be a superposition of the same entity, like the video The Egg on YouTube. Like, me and you literally could be the same person experiencing different aspects of the same world line, and we don't know it. I could die and come back as you later. There's no reason to believe that death now requires me to transcend to the future. I could potentially pass now, travel back in time, and be reincarnated as one of my own ancestors. Like, there's no way to know for certain, you know. So what do we get reincarnated into? Humans again? I would like to believe personally that the spirit, right? I believe that we're mind, body, and spirit. And I would like to believe that the subconscious and the unconscious spirit that governs the natural material, like let's say like the proton, right? I would like to believe that the proton spirit would reincarnate back into a molecule. The molecule spirit would reincarnate back into a more complex molecule, a compound. That compound will reincarnate back into a substrate, like let's say like granite or stone. And that the spirit, there's really no reason to put like a scale to it, it helps to kind of or conceptualize it. But imagine if that is how aggregate comes together to form larger and larger aggregates. And then eventually the spirit gets as large as like the earth. And it has so much complexity that it's able to reincarnate into organic material. And then those organic materials form simple life forms, and those simple life forms form us. Because we are comprised of mother-daughter cells, individual individual living cells, which you can see with a magnifying glass, are living beings. They have the same level of awareness and consciousness that we have, just at their own scale. They are fully cognitive living beings. Very limited and very simple in their behavior, but very much alive. So we are trillions of those things individually. I mean, we are comprised of trillions of individual of those things. So we literally are walking polytheism. We are literally entities of trillions. We are like a hive of trillions of different individual mother-daughter cells. And they all manifest, and we emerge from that. Your brain is comprised of billions of cells all talking to each other, and your consciousness is that conversation. Like, that's just how it is. Like, there's no other way to explain it. That's literally what it is. All of the cells, like the conversation that your brain is having with itself, is you. You are the result of that conversation, you know. I don't know. When it comes to, so you're basically saying that we won't know or see our families in the afterlife. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The afterlife could be like life, right? Like, it literally could be like where we are now. There could be, imagine if, so we've been conditioned to believe in like this spiritual, ethereal, energy-based reality, right? But what if the afterlife is literally birth? Right? Imagine who we are now and how we came into this world. Imagine another world. We are born. What if this physical flesh is a spirit of something more complex in a higher dimension? And when we pass in this life, this is the physical, this is like the energy state of something higher. So we pass here in this form, we transcend in the next form, and if we were there in this body, we would be a spirit in their dimension, if that makes sense. So imagine this literally is your spiritual body, and when you pass, this body is born somewhere else, and then that grows into something more complex than what we already are. That could be literally how it works. So you literally could be born into your family, your parent, because usually your parents die before you do. So they cross over, they connect together and form relationships, and then from those relationships you're born. You know. Will we know we're getting reincarnated? I want to say no, but again, I don't have the answer to that. We didn't know that we were being born. We didn't know that we were born. But I think we do know. I think babies have a very complex understanding of their reality. I think that they remember being born. I think they remember the trauma of being born. I think that they experience all that stuff. It's just something that is forgotten. And it's not forgotten because it wasn't important. I think that when we transition from being a child into the standardized way of living and having our mind structured with language and communication and sound, that standardized way of thinking, I think it overrides the memories we had as children. Because if you think about a baby without any visual language or any body language, without any information at all it can remember is how it felt. You know, it remembers that one time it had to burp. It remembers that one time it had to poop. It remembers that one time it was crying because it was hungry. It remembers the face of this woman that is always there. It remembers the face of that guy that's always there. That other little younger, that smaller person that's always there, like a brother or sister. But it doesn't have any language to communicate or connect to that. So as you grow older and you start learning language, you lose those core emotion-based memories. And that's why we don't remember our births. That's why we don't. That's why there's a certain age that we really don't usually remember beyond. My theory is because language is so fundamental in the way that we function that once we start learning language, we lose all those other emotion-based memories. But they form the foundational core of who we are. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. On the New Year's Day, the 31st of this year, at 11:59 p.m., once the fireworks start and everybody starts celebrating the next year, I'm gonna try my hardest to complete a 100K run consistently nonstop. What I'm gonna do with this video right now is this video is part of the My 2 Cent Life Planner, and there's 3 basic states for a planner. There's the diary, which is the past, the journal, which is the present, and the planner, which is the future. And what this is right now is the planner, because I've missed maybe 2 runs. I've been working too much. So what I'm gonna do is Tuesday, my plan, because this is what I should write down. My plan Tuesday, after work or before work, because I work at 6 a.m., I need to do a 10K. I need to do a 10K run so that I can have the data for the 10K run for this year, even though I missed the actual date, the actual time frame for it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been a cool conversation. I will be going live. I will be going live more often. You don't have to click in. You don't have to watch if you don't have the time. They're not going to be very long. If I start a conversation, then they'll be longer. About 5 minutes, me just saying something random, just to update my journal, for lack of better words, and then I'll sign out. If I miss something that you say, or if I miss a question you have or whatever, you can always message in the comments. The comment sections will always be there, and I'll always be able to just open them up and read them. So, as always, my name is Paul Emerson, and I've been your My 2 Cent.